Traffic safety was the topic of conversation today for state leaders. Good evening. This is CTV News. I'm Denise Douglas.
And I'm Rochelle Metzger. Thanks for joining us. Well, state officials are gathered in Linthicum Heights to talk about making Maryland roads safer. Byron Scott has our report.
On this stretch of I-495 in Largo, traffic is moving at a brisk pace and the road is accident-free. And in Linthicum Heights, state transportation officials are talking about ways to make Maryland's highways even safer.
We have over 300 attendees today alone, all gathering here today to talk about best practices.
The 4 areas they'll be discussing are road design, driver education, emergency response, and enforcement. Officials say of those, the biggest causes of highway crashes.
Obviously, right now, distracted driving is a big issue with cell phone usage and texting. Obviously, impaired driving is also a strategy that we work on.
The MVA says there were some 460 highway deaths in Maryland last year. And while that may sound like a lot,
Maryland has made a significant progress in reducing highway fatalities. We're actually under 500 this year at 462, which is the lowest since the 1960s.
This is called the Smart Trainer. Essentially, it is a motorcycle simulator. It is used at events like this to help teach motorcycle safety.
And after their ride, we then say, hey, did you know that we have different training programs? And it's a great segue in the ability for us to talk to them about our different training programs.
The main goal of the summit sounds impossible, but one they take seriously: zero highway deaths.
If you don't set zero as a goal, then it's never going to be achieved.
In Linthicum Heights, Byron Scott, CTV News.
The Highway Safety Summit is an annual event. It continues through Wednesday. Well, Maryland fires the contractor responsible for building the state's troubled health exchange website. According to the Baltimore Sun, the Health Benefit Exchange Board voted last night to terminate Noridian Healthcare Solutions. The health exchange website crashed the day it launched and has been riddled with problems ever since. State officials say they reserve the right to take the company to court for damages.
When it comes to the issue of marijuana, there is no shortage of opinions, as is the case in Annapolis, where 2 bills are being considered to decriminalize the drug. Under one measure, offenders would be slapped with a $100 fine for possessing 10 grams or less. The second bill would make it legal for people 21 or older. Reaction was mixed from people we spoke with.
I absolutely agree with decriminalizing, in fact legalizing. I think we should be taxing it, and we should be taking that revenue and putting it towards our schools and for treatment. Plain and simple. I mean, it's silly that we have a war on drugs that has been a complete failure, and we should get rid of it, at least in this state.
I don't agree with it because marijuana, it's not doing anything great for anybody. And not only that, but it's going to cause people to proliferate illegal drugs. Not only is it going to do that, but it's also going to bring back the 70s, which we don't need all that. All this junkies on the street, people that want to buy drugs off the street. We don't need all that. And not only that, but it's going to get to the point to where it's just going to be okay to do it at your job.
The bills will be heard tomorrow in a Senate committee. Meanwhile, upwards of 1,000 people are expected to gather to make their voices heard on everything from minimum wage to foreclosures and immigration. Casa de Maryland and the NAACP, along with other groups, are holding a rally tonight in Annapolis. While each organization is pushing for a specific issue, one of the organizers says there is a common focus on civil and human rights, adding that their collective call for change will make a difference.
At some part in our history, all of these groups have been discriminated against. And so we are coming together along with our white colleagues too, because the reality is everybody cares about justice. Now that's something that we all can agree on, but it's really important that we speak with one strong, loud voice. We support the NAACP, we support Casa de Maryland, they support our historically black colleges and universities. That's the message that we want. Your issue is important to us, our issue is important to you.
That rally will take place at 7 tonight at Lawyers Mall outside the State House.
A local organization that provides shelter and assistance to domestic violence victims is seeing a growing need here in Prince George's County. The Family Crisis Center in Brentwood helps close to 375 women and children flee violent homes each year. A decrease in annual funding has forced the center to restructure and reduce its staff. This, as Executive Director Shirley Schreffler says, the organization is facing some new challenges.
Growing need to provide services to undocumented women, which is very challenging. So it's not only those that are Spanish speaking, but that come from the islands or whatever. And so it's difficult for us because without a Social Security card, we're trying to get them employment so that we can get them transitional housing. Transitional housing and employment is different when you don't have that Social Security number. And so we're relying on support that we're not seeing actively given to the women.
Schreffler says the shelter helps women find employment, though typically for a minimum wage. She says the low pay makes it difficult for mothers to support their children and become self-sufficient, especially with high housing rates. She adds that the increase to the county's minimum wage will help.
Well, a Republican gubernatorial candidate took two major steps in rounding out his campaign today. Charles Lawler named Kenneth Timmerman as his running mate. Timmerman is a longtime investigative reporter and conservative political candidate. The two also formally filed their candidacy for the state's top seats at the Board of Elections in Annapolis. Lawler now joins Larry Hogan and David Craig as official candidates for the governor's job. You are watching CTV News. I'm Denise Douglas.
And I'm Rochelle Metzger.